What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 9 of the Saigon Saga Podcast.
Episode 9, Hiep Nguyen, a former college wrestler in the United States, now started a new gym in District 7, Arcane Grappling.
He joins us all the way from District 7 today. We talk about the future of grappling in Vietnam and what the young community of new grapplers are going to do to build the future.
He also shines some light on the role of local gyms and the growth of Jiu-Jitsu.
It's a great episode, so listen in and join us.
Welcome to the Saigon Saga, where we cover combat sports in Vietnam and have fun while doing it.
Martial arts has changed my life big time. It's like, you know how it becomes everything. Yeah. And I have no ambition to be a professional or like really make it a career, but it's, you know.
You guys ever goes maybe a week or two of very hard training and then you come back home, you're like, I'm never going to be a world champ. I don't know why I'm pushing myself so hard. You ever have that little like shower moment? You're like, should I?
What am I doing? For me, it's more I'm watching MMA on TV, like watching a UFC card. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I need to be ready to do this. Like, what would I do in that situation? And then I look at myself, I'm like, I go to the gym for fun. Like, I am choosing to, this is not my job. I don't need to think about this. I don't need to feel that way.
Sometimes when I wake up, man, and I'm just all real stiff.
Neck hurts, your wrist is shit.
Am I really going to do a grappling tournament today? Really? And it's like, you know, you just got to get those, just eliminate those thoughts. But the thing is, the good news is, guys, the IBJJF crowns 3,000 people world champions every year.
Master 7, here I come. Give me 2 more decades, baby.
Hang out at Purple
you
for a
have
while.
the rest of your life. You might show up and there might be 4 people in your bracket. Imagine this, Master 7 blue belt. How many people are in that bracket?
Any day of the week.
No world champion.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when the first time I was ever introduced to Jiu-Jitsu, which was in 2018 in Hanoi, Vietnam, and there was this black belt, and like, remember, I came from wrestling. Wrestling has been around for a long time. To even go to the world championships, you have to be the number 1 guy in the United States in your weight class. There's only 8 weight classes. And then this guy's like, yeah, man, I went to Worlds. And I'm like, whoa, man, this guy went to Worlds.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Like, how
you pay $200 and a plane ticket.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know anyone could go to Worlds.
You just got to sign up.
Do you guys think we're at a period where hobbyists like us can meet people like Gavao? And maybe in the next 10 or 15 years, when the sport really professionalized, it's going to be way different. It's going to be like wrestling, for example. It's like a nationalized sport.
Well, like if you look at everything is moving away from the gi. ADCC is the new Olympics. First, you have to win the trials. So this is kind of the different, like you can't just say I'm a world champion because you won something at blue belt.
People are saying because trials, you can still go as white or blue belt. So people are saying maybe you should win opens first for you to qualify for trials, and then trials you could go to worlds.
So you have to win an
open world, or at least open something, right?
Can you win an open?
No. That's the thing. So like, what kind of qualification do you need to cut out so many people? Because the argument is you gotta beat everyone, no matter how shitty they are or how good they are, to get to that world qualification for trial.
Well, now they're getting these brackets for like 250 people now, whereas 10 years ago there's probably not nearly that, right?
256 for the East Coast trials. We complain for a 20
like
people bracket.
9 matches.
I know, man. It's crazy. So what was? I think we all have our stories. How did you get into wrestling?
I think in high school. So I went to high school in 10th grade in Vietnam. So I went to a gifted school called Leon Phong. Most of the kids there study. But then I got really lucky. I struck a full ride scholarship. So I went to a boarding school in Massachusetts, right? And from there, I met a lot of guys and gals. But one of them was this Russian guy from Chechen. Yeah. And he actually was now that I Google him back, he was doing ADCC kids back in the day, like the old days. So he was coming and he was in my dorm and he's like, yeah, I'll teach some wrestling stuff. And I really got inspired. So I did it a bit, but my school was a boarding school. So, and we didn't really have the wrestling program. So what we did was we go to Belchertown Public High School and we wrestle, we tussle a bit. But it wasn't until college that I went to the wrestling practice, and I was so impressed because there was an all-American woman wrestler there, Sarah Andreessen. Thank you. And she just lined all the new people up, and beat them one by one, and it was just crazy. I saw her tossing guys who were 210, and I'm not making this up. I'm not making weight bracket up. Like this big guy, 210, just fireman carries her, and I was like, yeah, I think I should commit to this for a bit. So yeah, that was the story, man. And then jujitsu honestly was an afterthought because my first love and my love till now is wrestling. Even when I watch it on YouTube, it's so beautiful. Like jujitsu, you got all this K guard, R guard, new stuff, whatever. But like you see a guy fireman perfectly from another guy pump, it's just beautiful stuff. And like yeah, so that's my story, man. And then I think in 2019, that was the first time I got educated with high level grapplers. So I went to Unity Jiu-Jitsu in New York when I was interning in Wall Street, and I was rolling. I got to roll with guys like Miao, Junior Casio. As a white belt, they were very nice at Unity Jiu-Jitsu, and I thought I should try this a little more. Then yeah, so I keep trying. I got my blue belt in 2020. I was 2019. I think I was 20, about 20, 21. Right. So I've been training wrestling for 2.5 years already. And then yeah, so I got my blue belt at the beginning of 2020, right 7 days before COVID hit America and everything closed down. So I stopped training for a really long time because in America they locked down hard, right? When I came back, I trained a bit and then I trained a long time, but going nowhere. I just keep switching between gyms. I was at C88, I was at District 3, Submission Grappling Club. I was everywhere. But there was really none of that wrestling intensity sparring that I wanted. I actually got called out many times, and maybe rightfully so, but also maybe not, of going too hard or keeping the pace too high. And I respect it, but I didn't love that. So I think at the end of 2022, my girlfriend and now fiance moved her work to District 7, so we moved to District 7. That's where I met Pato, who was at SSC at the time. He ripped my head off, bro. Like, shoot anything in, choke, 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 makes everyone go hard. And I thought that was what I wanted to do. So a couple things happened, and we found an opportunity for all four of us. So it was me, Pato, and my fiance, and another friend, Melly, to break out and build Arcane together. So now we're co-owning it, we're operating it day by day, and we're just trying to keep that hard mentality to District 7 and hopefully to the Jiu-Jitsu community as a whole. That's where I'm right now.
That's fantastic. I think the level at Arcane is very high, you know, and I love the pace, and I just love that feeling you get, you know, like in hard practice.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, like you definitely feel it. Pato
Right,
likes to
right.
keep the doors closed,
Right.
the AC on low. It's it's a sweatbox in there, but like it's
It
one
is,
way
it
to really
is.
push the
It
pace, and
is.
like you feel the heat, and everything is coming, the heat off the mat, the heat from the bodies. My question is, what did you have to do to convince them to put up the UV, like the
Right.
sun blocking
So,
glass? 'Cause
so
I feel like
I
this
don't
is
know if you
something that
guys.
he had a
So
lot of
working
resistance
with
to.
Pato is like a treat, man. It's so for the shades, we have to tell him. So the mats, the beautiful mats that you see is from our friend Kenny, who used to run KJT. I think they call themselves Korean Jiu-Jitsu team. So the team disbanded and they gave the mats to us. but it was beautiful. It was probably nearly 100 mil, if I have to guess, right? But the sun could kill it at noon classes, and it was really bad at noon. That was good, but in the dry season, that thing really kills. So we said, okay, we're gonna put 7 mil. We're gonna block the sun. Are you okay with that? Okay, but only the front, the side, no. We still need sun. Still need heat. So couple of weeks ago, we went through a whole thing about putting another aircon in, which we did, and now the room is very nice for the kids' class during the summer. But he makes it a point that at least 3 times a week, that when class has more than 10 people, for example, everything's closed, no aircon, no fan, we go at least 3 times a week. And I love that. Like, you have to do something like that, or you don't do it at all. I really think so. For jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's hot out there. I remember like going outside into the sun in the Saigon heat, and it's like, I don't know, 35 degrees outside, and man, it feels refreshing. To step out of there, it really does feel like you're coming out of the sauna.
What did you feel? Did you feel like your role was different when there's that intense heat and humidity?
Well, you need to be a little bit more cautious with your pacing, for sure. Like, if you explode and put everything into the first roll, like, I don't know how many rounds we're doing, 5, 6 rounds, like, you got to be a little bit more cautious. Also, what I noticed is playing bottom game. Like, if you're being smashed by the top guy, you're getting all the insulation and the heat coming from the mat, and then also on the top, you're just in a sandwich of heat. And this is where I spent most of my time under Pato, not having too much fun.
Except for Zac. Zac was playing top, and it was pretty good too. Yeah.
One day he'll
stay
try
on
playing
top,
guard.
but- No, I play guard. I play guard in. I play guard in practice. I don't mind playing guard in practice. I have like 2 sequences that I do, and it works okay. But like I noticed in like the tournament we were in Thailand, I was just watching you wrestle. Like I'm a wrestler. I'm a wrestler that does jiu-jitsu basically, and I'm trying to learn jiu-jitsu. And there is no way that I would have the confidence to go in the match and pull guard or do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so far beyond me to do a triangle in a match. There's, like, to me, that's just so hard. And you have no problem doing it. You've embraced everything about jiu-jitsu. Like standing top, bottom.
So this is a compliment to you too, along with all my training partners. But I've gone to a point in jiu-jitsu where if I don't pull guard, I realize that there will always be people better than me at wrestling. So the only way to beat them is to play a game that is counter or antithesis to them. For example, now whenever I go with you, I would like to sit down and wrestle up, or go into certain leg entanglements that make sense. That's the thing that I've been working on a lot with Gary from Josu in the last couple of weeks. And that's what I'm going to continue working on, because I know that if I go absolute, or if I go to my bracket and there's a big guy like Zac who's like very tough, solid, rock solid grappler, and he doesn't engage, I have to start at a lower level change. And how low can you get besides sitting down on your ass, right? But you have to be active. You can't just sit. Which is what I learned a lot from competing with you the first time. Yeah, and you actually saw it the second time we go together on Vung Tau, yeah.
Oh man, the wrestle up at the beach. Man, it was so close.
Super close, guys. I hate it.
It was so close, and the crowd went. The crowd liked it, and but man, so yeah. But so what is, how has wrestling shaped you as a grappler? And like, what would it be like if you didn't have wrestling?
I think
Then it'd be like for the rest of us who just started with jiu-jitsu. But like for me, it's pulling guard that's pretty much the first thing we learned. So I don't have this thing in my head of, I need to get top position, I need to wrestle first. Whereas Zac is quite reluctant.
I think there are levels of wrestling, right? I would categorize myself. I think my wrestling is blue belt, 4th stripe at best. On the grand scheme of things, on the grand scheme of all the wrestlers in the world, I would categorize Raphael as a brown belt, for example. So as a blue belt in both jiu-jitsu and wrestling, in the mental sense, I think the pace is the only thing that really kept the transfer very well into the grappling. It's not the like single legs or double legs or whatever. I have the one move, guys, which is the throw by. Everyone knows this now. But I think the pace. I don't know if you felt that when you roll with guys like me, Zach, or Raphael, but the pace is on. It's always on. It's multi-directional. It's always on. I think that's the one that transfer the most. And then this is discipline. You just go and train. It's a sport that you're supposed to be there at least 4, 5, 6 times a week, or you're never gonna get better.
Yeah, and no sitting out.
No sitting out. No
Sitting out rounds. Yeah. Definitely no using the bathroom before rounds, which I love that.
Yeah.
I love that at Arcane. You know, because a lot of people just go to practice and they just sit around. And
No,
it's
but
like
that's the
hippie
thing. Like,
jiu-jitsu.
I realize this. Like, sitting out in jiu-jitsu is a cultural thing. It's fine. But in a wrestling room, you can't do that. But in Arcane, I don't know if you noticed, but Bato shamed people for sitting out. And, like, he's very public about it. And after a while, even the people who are there purely for hobby. I'm talking, there's a guy who's a director of a pretty big tech company here. He has zero obligations to do anything this Bato guy say, right? But now he goes with us and he do 6 rounds of 6 minutes. He's 39. He's still doing it. Like Yuki, he's 46, purple belt. He has no obligations to go hard with all these white, blue, purple belt young guys for 10 rounds of 6 last night. He did. We did 60 minutes rolling last night. Like, it's just, and I like that that's slowly becoming the culture of the gym, and people appreciate it, even if they don't have an obligation to. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 4 of you guys came together, and you have this gym, Arcane. And fortunately, myself and Zach have had a chance to go visit. It's an awesome place to train. Like, what is the vision that you have for this gym? What exactly are you guys trying to build there? And how is this going to go further into the Vietnamese grappling community?
Wow, that's hard. I think we have a good answer for that, but it's probably not going to materialize for a while. At the start, we just want a hard training room. Right. Before this, it wasn't SSC. It was a small 25-meter room that's Bato apartment. It's as big as this room, and we put mats in, and we were there for 4 months, right? So we decided one day we really can't train here anymore. I can't wrestle, so let's move to a different room. But I think the vision for Bato, and I think it inspires some of us too, is to build the next generation of grapplers. And by next generations, I mean kids and juveniles. So we have a kids class that's 4 days a week, and it's going to be 2 kids class soon. And these kids, man, we make them spar. Well, it's 7-year-old to 11-year-old, and they spar like adults. They spar the ways that Bato makes you guys spar. They're deadly. Arm bars, guillotines, rear naked jokes, inside trips, all of the stuff that I don't think kids outside learn, but they learn. But that's the kind of thing that I think Bato wants to push, and I think would be great for the community. Because at the end of the day, Jiu-Jitsu is a foreign sport that came. A very small percentage of real local people, like people who like find it hard to speak English, for example, will get to approach and do it. So the only chance that we can expand it even more is to start at the kids level, right? So that's what we're trying to do. And that's what Bato is trying to do. We're going to have more kids class. Hopefully one day we'll have a juvie class for the 12 to 16-year-old age group. And I think that's going to be great.
Wow, it's fantastic. How many people are in the kids program now?
We have 10 solid, consistent kids, like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then on Friday, sometimes it just pops up really big. Could be 15, 20 kids. Still a small scale, but consistent. They're very consistent, the kids. Yeah.
And how do you
Dude,
find
kids
these
class are the easiest thing if you actually market for it. Yeah, if you look at
Really?
a very great gym who built a phenomenal kids jiu-jitsu gi program, would be Gistio. They have probably 60 kids, maybe, right? Amazing guys. But the idea is kids are sticky. Kids aren't like adults. They're sticky, and they want to do it with friends. and the parents are super incentivized to bring other parents in. Actually, we very deliberately don't advertise our kids class because we're not at that level of operational and logistic level to do that yet, right? So
You
yes,
think
it,
it might
it
grow
did.
too fast.
So the 10 kids that we had took 1 or 2 weeks of marketing. And we have a bunch of kids material we haven't pulled out because the moment we do, we feel like that it would explode. And it's not because we're good. It's just the nature of kids class. And if you do a good job and the kids love you, they stay for more than 1 month. They're sticky. They're very sticky. Right.
Wow. And it's mainly gi or no gi or
Gi
both?
on Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday. No gi on Friday, Saturday. Yep.
Oh, if we're lucky, we can put Zach in the kids class. That's one way to get a gi
That's
on
what I
him.
would need. That's what I would need. I would need to start in the gi.
Yeah, we have this kid named Kang, absolute monster of a 7-year-old, and I don't say this word lightly. We teach him rear naked choke, and for some reason, his head, he watched something on YouTube, and he connects the rear naked choke grip with the guillotine grip. And one day I was just saying hi to him, whatever. He would jump a guillotine, yank it, and I had to tap. It was so tight, and he would do this to all the other kids. But the thing is, like, we don't stop it. Like, it's simple. If you bully someone, we'll bully you back. But we're not gonna tell you to stop bullying. We're just gonna make sure you know how to empathize when someone bully you back. I'm not sure this should be on the podcast, but I think that's a more realistic mentality than telling people to stop doing something. It's better for them to know that they shouldn't themselves. Yeah.
I think we need more of that in the world.
Grappling teaches humility, and it's something that then younger generations might not have as much of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not tough, if you're not tough by the time you're like 20,
Yeah.
you know, for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
it's gonna be pretty. You have a hard life.
Yeah.
So now you got back into wrestling here, or I guess you never really took a break, but you're training with in Raymond's class now. And how does one of these sessions compare to what you're doing at the college level?
I think it's different because at the end of the day, it's a private training session. It's not like a group, like a very big 20, 30 people group where everyone is equipped with wrestling already. So on that sense, we don't have that heat, that constant drilling that we had in college. We also don't spar in Raymond's class. Yeah, we don't live wrestle in there. But the big difference I noticed, I don't know if Zach noticed, but the technique he teaches quite different from the stuff I got from America. Yeah, like head positioning, grips, very different. I would say it's very different from America, for sure.
Yeah, it's very, just very very explosive, and just basically once you take a shot, keep shooting until you get the takedown, and that's pretty much it.
And is this style like? Do you feel it's more effective for MMA? Do you feel like it's more effective for competition grappling and submission grappling in general?
I think it's beautiful for everything. I think it's effective for everything that should require putting a person on the ground. I think one thing that inspire a lot is that the movement that Raphael does. I truly think it's art. It's the same way that I see movement of high level black belts do things, and that's why I trusted it the first time I saw it. Right? He didn't need to flip me or take me down 10 times, which he did on a daily basis, but he just needed to do that, and I thought that wow, it was effective, because this is the movement of someone who's done this reps for thousands of times. Yeah, for sure. I think it works.
Definitely, Raymond's definitely one of the guys I respect here in Vietnam, and that's why I take his class. Who are some of the other influences, practitioners, coaches in Vietnam that you kind of look up to, or that you feel is having a significant impact on the community here in Vietnam?
I think I want to give a shout out to the local coaches, like guys like Tien from Soi Jiu-Jitsu, guys like Gung from Ronin team, and the guys of Vietnam top team in Hanoi. These are the folks that they were truly able to and the folks over GSDL too, of course. But they were truly able to build a very local packed class, right? And then it's different from I like my gym. I like over under because there are people who are more westernized. But I know how hard it is to teach local folks, and they were able to build such a strong community. And I think that's the path for Vietnam Jiu-Jitsu to be not just the top of Southeast Asia, but the top of Asia if we could get it there. That's what we need: more people, more heart in the room.
For sure. This is part of what we're trying to do with the podcast is kind of bridge this gap. We've talked about it before, but like you go and train other places in other countries and there's a huge gap between the foreign and the Vietnamese population. And in Saigon, this is a little bit less, and we're trying to do everything we can to meld everyone together. And you do see it in the room. But yeah, you go to Arcane, you go to Over
More of
Under,
a
it does
foreign
have,
feel, right?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
No, but that has to happen at the start of anything.
Yeah. But how many of these little gyms, every once in a while we come across like a gym that, it's just 4 or 5 locals and they just put some mats down and they just train once or twice a week. How many gyms are there throughout Vietnam that are just putting mats down? They're just, hey, let's just do some training that could use some support
so
or
many.
some.
I think Corey actually was one of the few, if not, I'm not sure if it's the only black belt coach I know that have gone to these very, very local gyms. I'm talking like some random Muay Thai gym in the west area of Vietnam and teach. So there's many. I think we just need more media exposure and more high level local black belts. And it will come, right? So we only have 2 Vietnamese black belt now, 3. Sorry, cut the smirk out. 3 local Vietnamese black belt. But I think this year we'll probably have 2 more. Next year we'll probably have a couple more. And as the density of black belts increase, we will see these small gyms become affiliated with the bigger gyms, and they will actually learn. And maybe in 10 years we'll see a country like Chile would be like Vietnam, 100 black belts. Very much possible. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. How many gyms do you think there are in Saigon right now, ballpark?
I think 25. I think the official list has like 14 gyms, but it didn't list out like the very small pockets of gym in like GovUp or District 12, which are run by other white belts or mid-level blue belt, for example. But there are gyms like that, and people do come to train. 7 or 8 people group. They exist for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we've talked about trying to reach out to some of these gyms and go visit and give them a little bit of
Right.
public lens. But it is difficult, like as us both being English speakers and trying to bridge the gap into culture and like how do we find these gyms when we don't even know they exist. We're doing a bit of treasure hunting, but we're definitely interested in going and reaching out and showcasing like
Right.
what they are doing, because at the end of the day, grappling's grappling, and the community grows everywhere in the far corners
No,
of this
I agree.
country.
There's many good champions in terms of promoting these gyms for that. I think one of the people I think is a great competitor too is Kwa purple belt. That's currently I think training at C88.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
over under today.
So he's a great competitor. He's one of the few stories that I'm really happy for him about, because I think when I first met him, he was very young. He was 12, 13. He was just started training, and of course I beat him up at the time, but he was really tough. I put him in a rear naked choke. He just would not tap, right? And now last year we saw him beating his Yam, which was a purple belt under Yuri Simone. Like, this guy who came from like driving Grab or doing whatever he did at the time, he definitely did not have the resource that I have, but he was beating world-class purple belt for sure. That guy was world-class, and he beat him in under 1 minute in 2 matches. they sign up in 2 brackets. He beat in do 2 matches. That's the kind of champions that that could really help the local scene, for sure. Those guys, yeah.
Other than maybe getting some more exposure to these smaller gyms throughout Vietnam, can you think of anything else that would really help promote, expand, benefit the greater grappling community in Saigon and in greater Vietnam?
We talked about 2 things already. We talked about promoting more kids in juvie class. We talked about working more with local gyms. I think the biggest push that I've seen from the normies community was after they see Lion MMA. So I think having more grappling champions or just beautiful grappling display on media and mainstream media is going to have, same way UFC makes Jiu-Jitsu indispensable for people in the West. One championship is not as big in Vietnam, but Lion has the potential to be very big. So just coaching local guys. The Hobson type guy is beautiful. Felipe is beautiful, but local grappling champions, that would make a dent for sure.
Get people excited. Yeah, get people excited to watch. Get people excited to see like their countrymen do well in these tournaments.
Yeah, Lion has a lot of potential to be very big. They do. This year is going to be hard though. I saw the bracket. There's some beastie foreigners out there. But I've been loving the local, giving them a challenge too. People are starting to train grappling more. And 2 years ago, they probably didn't know how to sprawl, but now you cannot take these guys down. Cannot take these guys down.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they're starting to see that grappling and the role of wrestling in MMA, and so
Defensive wrestling,
Right.
using the cage, like. You don't necessarily need the highest level of jiu-jitsu if you have these other skills, and you see the game evolving this way.
Have you guys ever met Pham Van Nam? He's from Vietnam top team. He trained at SSC. He was the champion for 56 kg, I think, in Lion MMA. So he won primarily, his striking is great, but he won primarily with wrestling and grappling. In the Lion MMA cage, and there was so much controversy. The same way it happened in UFC, where this guy just take people down and wipe the floor with them, or whatever. And I think we need more of that. I think people start respecting it when we see a guy who's like beating a Muay Thai champion with wrestling, for example. I ain't doing it. I'm about to get married.
I want to see you. I want to see you in the cage.
Give the people what they want. You're a young guy.
But I would love to train MMA guys, and that's what Arcane's doing too. Pato's training some MMA guys for Lion coming up.
Really?
So catch that coming up.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, this guy's got me at the Muay Thai practice, but which is a lot of fun. I've been always avoiding striking.
Seems like he's still avoiding striking. He showed up for a week, and I haven't seen him in a while.
Guys, we do this every single week. Every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, there's a new episode. And there's reels and there's clips and everything posted every single day. Comment or ask a question. Maybe you want to be on the show. Maybe you don't. Who knows? Just say something.